What's going on, everyone? This is Jerome Reid here, and I am joined today by Nathan Johnson. Nathan is an artist, designer, and co-founder at Blacklist Studios, located in Sydney, Australia. Nathan, thank you so much for being a guest on the show today. It is such an honor.
Of course, man. Yeah, so good to chat to you. I'm glad we can finally get this all connected up. It's good.
Yeah, I'm excited. Well, first question, Nathan, that I want to ask you, because it is the day for you. You are ahead. But what does an average day look like for you?
Oh, man. Yeah. So as you mentioned, my wife and I run a design studio called Blacklist. So yeah, we have a studio about 5 minutes from our house. So we live in just south of Sydney in a place called Cronulla.
Wow.
Which is right by the beach. So I drive past the beach every day to the studio, which is pretty awesome. Yeah, so I guess an average day for us looks like anything from me painting. I do a lot of painting, original artworks, to collaborating with brands and I guess helping them elevate what they're doing and, working with other brands. And
That's awesome.
sometimes we collaborate with people and kind of do Blacklist inspired products for other people. So yeah, you know what, like we have our hands in a bunch of different pies, so to speak, and like we kind of like it that way. We like mixing it up all the time, and I guess every day we come to the studio, there's never an average or consistent thing that we do. We're always kind of mixing it up. So yeah, it keeps it interesting sense. And yeah, super fun, man. Super fun.
That's awesome. That's so exciting. Now, how did Blacklist Studio come to be?
Yeah. So I studied graphic design straight out of high school and worked for a bunch of other companies for about 10 years. So I worked in the magazine industry here in Sydney. And so I worked for a bunch of different fashion magazines and a surfing magazine, snowboarding, that kind of action sports area.
Yeah.
And then just kind of felt like, you know what, like I just need to kind of start my own thing. And so that was, I think, going on 13 years ago that I left the corporate world and started Blacklist as a design studio. And when we started, I had zero clients. I didn't even have a studio. I just worked straight from home. So at the time, it was like a real jump into the deep end. But you know what? I just felt like it was the right thing to do. And here I am, I guess, like all these years later, still loving it, still enjoying it. So yeah, and my wife, she kind of jumped on board a year or so after we had our first child. So she's now 11. So
Wow.
yeah, so we've been working together kind of, back and forth across that time as well, which has been super cool.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, the one thing, Nathan, that I love about your work, so I stumbled upon your studio/Instagram account over a year ago, and I was admired by the authenticity behind your work and how unique it is. And the one thing that I think is so cool is that you guys have designs on, notebooks, canvas, shoes, many different art pieces. And I recently saw that you had, and this might be for a limited time, but like on the back of a skateboard. And I see that you have a couple skateboards right there.
There's a couple of designs
on them, which is super cool. Now, what does your creative process look like when it comes to putting together an art piece?
Yeah, I think like for us, early on, we kind of gravitated towards the written word. So I do a lot of typography and, we use words a lot in our work. And that, I think for us, like, was kind of like an overflow of, what we would read in the Bible or what, almost like wanting to like, wanting to communicate this idea of love like in a modern way. Essentially I guess that's what we do. Like,
yeah,
we're trying to communicate love in a modern, authentic way, something that's like, you might see the word love and you feel like, that's so cheesy, but we kind of thought there's this area and there's a room to be able to communicate that in maybe a fresher way. So that's like basically like our approach. Like anything that I guess I start on is thinking ahead to, okay, how can we communicate something in a fresh way?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like you said, like we do a lot of that typography on skateboards or shoes or a canvas, and which kind of really excites me because I think, you know, there's no limit to what you can do
Yeah.
creatively, like, and it's still that same style still translates. And so, you know, there's so many artists, I guess, that inspire us that have a similar approach, and they talk about, you know, whether they're designing clothes or, I don't know, artwork, it's still the same output, just a different like outcome, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And the
Yeah.
thing that I find that's really amazing when it comes to like designers and artists, and you might be able to relate, is that they have the image already in their mind somehow before they
Yeah.
put, you know, the paint to the canvas or the pen to the paper. For you, does that come naturally, or is that something that you had to learn when you were in high school and you took graphic design?
I feel like I'm still learning that. Yeah, you know what? I think you know what, you're right. For me, I need to have a like 80% finished picture in my head before I almost start, which can actually be a blessing and a curse a lot
Yeah.
of the time. So I know a lot of artists will just start making and then they'll just see where they end up. Like I can do that to a certain degree, but there definitely needs to be, I think, in my head, like a picture of, okay, that's how I imagine it's going to look. All right, let's start and let's get there.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, it can be a kind of blessing and a curse. There's often times where you just sit there and you think, it's not turning out like I picture,
Yeah.
and I guess that's that constant wrestle that you have as a creative, where I think, and I'm still learning this, you have to be up for that wrestle, that constant wrestle of, it's not right. Okay, so what are you going to do about it? Are you going to just go home and watch Netflix, or are you going to keep like massaging it, like molding it, pushing
Yeah.
it? And so I think as the creative, and I'm sure a lot of other creatives can relate to this, it's like you have to be up for the wrestle.
Yeah.
And some days you're not. Some days you're like, I'm done. I'm just going to go for a surf. But
Yeah.
other days, yeah, you kind of, I think that's where the magic happens, where you just commit to, you know what, I'm just going to push through this. And often something amazing will come out of it. So yeah, to answer your question, I feel like I'm definitely still learning about, to continue to push myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Dude,
sure.
that I love what you shared about, you know, when it comes to being a creative, you have to learn to push through it. Because I think, you know, the Bible talks about that, and even in life we experience that if you keep pushing forward or if you persevere, you'll get to the other side of it. But the hard part really is where you look at other people who might be doing something similar to you, and they just decide, you know what, I give up. I'm just going to watch Netflix, like you referenced. But then it's like, no, you got to decide to kind of push forward and try to figure it out a little bit more. It'll take time, but eventually you will get to a place that you want it to be at.
I think so, yeah. And you know what, like I watch other creatives, and you know, have friends who do creative different things than me, and I think they all kind of experience a similar process, where
Yeah.
even the really successful ones, right, the ones that you think, man, it just comes so easy to them, like, no, they're pushing through the same thing, you know, like
Yeah.
but I think what I'm learning is you have to enjoy that element of it. I think if you see that as like the pushing through and the striving as something negative, then that's when you start to get unhealthy. But when
Yeah.
you start to see that that's all part of the process, to be enjoyed, to be like, to love that element, then I think then that helps you kind of push through and get the magic.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's honestly what, even in the last couple of months, what I feel like I've been relearning again is to enjoy the hard push through.
Yeah, that's true. You actually you put something on social media that I found with your work, and you wrote the words beauty and sorry, beauty in the chaos. As you know, Nathan, as you know, we get in our heads and we start to compare ourselves with other people that we know, other creatives, or we start to compare our work with someone else's work, which I think can be more a negative than a positive when we compare ourselves. But what do you do to help you continue to find the beauty in the chaos? In other words, what do you do to, sorry, what do you do that helps you stay on the right path, kind of the path that God created you to be on, if that makes sense?
Yeah, that it makes sense. That's the magic question, right?
Yeah.
I think for me, it's like you said. I think it's healthy to look at what other people are doing, and I actually get a lot of inspiration from, and I get inspired by watching other people and what they're doing, and anywhere from songwriters to fashion designers to whatever, filmmaker. But I think the trick is, like, it's that fine line between, okay, letting yourself be inspired by that to completely just comparing yourself and, thinking, oh, well, I could never do that. I think that's the fine line. You're always kind of jumping between. And I think for me, like, I'll scroll through Instagram. I follow a lot of artists and people, and a lot of the time I'll see someone's painted a picture, and something about it will just speak to me in a way that will just make me want to go and paint. Not necessarily like what I've seen, like, and I think this is the fine line. Like, if you hear a beautiful song and you think, oh man, I just want to pick up my guitar and go and write a song. I think often you won't be thinking, I want to write a song like that, but something in the song you've heard will just inspire something in you creatively to want to go and output what you have to the world. And so, for me, definitely with the journey of Blacklist, I've been very conscious of, okay, what do I have to offer that I can just be authentic and true with, rather than just emulating someone else's art practice. And honestly, that's the wrestle that we were talking about. Like, I think it'd be so easy to just find an artist you love, copy their work exactly. You'd look great. There'd be no mistakes. It'd all, but I think, well, that's not really the creative pursuit. The creative pursuit is like trying to find those needle in a haystack, trying to find that little bit of gold in the big rock, or the little gemstone in the, like, you're constantly finding and searching. And that, I don't know if that answers your question, but
it does.
I don't think there's anything wrong with being inspired by people. I think you just have to, like what you said, okay, what do you have in you? Because we all have something in us that is unique, a unique take on the world, a unique perspective. And I think the more we're just authentic with what we have to offer, like, the more beautiful the world will be. Because we're allowing different thoughts and ideas to come out, and that's what art is. It's someone's perspective on something, it's someone's take on something, and that's what I love to see too. Your take on it, your take on what you've got to offer, and
that's awesome, dude. I think what you just shared is something that I've been saying to some people, and it's the fact that, God created us to be creative. And I think, like what you were mentioning, if everyone were to take something unique about themselves and just do it, that there'd be so much beauty in there. And like, it's a $1 million question where it's hard sometimes, because I love how you said, I can literally copy what you do and there'll be no flaws, but that won't be my authenticity. That's me literally copying someone else's work. Which you don't want to get caught into, but it's true. If we all decided to really just maybe draft some ideas from people, but to know, okay, what's true for me? What is something that I'm meant to do that's different. And, you know, my buddy's audience might not be into it, but I might find a different audience or a different group of people who would be interested. So I do have a question that relates to this, and you might have answered it already, but we'll see.
Sure.
And the question is this: as an artist or a designer, what would you say has maybe been one of the hardest things that you would have to deal with?
I think as an artist, it's probably just quite practical in the sense that, you know, like to make money from art is it's different than if you just were going to go and get a job with a company or work your way up the corporate ladder, which is all fine. I think one of the most challenging things, and probably early on, is just the practical element of, okay, how am I going to make money from my craft, and how am I going to I call it like, it's like a snowball effect, you know?
Yeah.
Like when you're first starting off, you just need a couple of jobs with people, or to sell a couple of artworks, or to write a couple of songs, and that will help you kind of snowball it along. Yeah, I think for me, it was just, okay, I really want to paint, I really want to create, I really want to draw, I really want to make art. So how do I do that consistently, because it's what I love? And then it's just practical, you know, like some weeks are quieter than others. And you know, I have friends who are musicians, and when COVID hit, they copped it, you know, like they had zero work because they were doing events and weddings and things like that. So you know, I really felt for them, because it was like, wow, you know, like 10 years of your career is just kind of gone on hold.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I can relate, you know, when people are trying to do art for a career, it comes down to practically, like, how are you going to pay rent, and how are you going to snowball your career, so you know, you keep kind of getting better and you keep selling more work. So yeah, like I can relate to other people that are doing art. It's not the easiest career path, that's for sure. But if you love it, it's almost like, well, what else are you going to do? So
exactly, if you have the passion, for sure.
Yeah,
now,
definitely.
We talked about the hardest thing, but for you, Nathan, what would you say maybe has been something exciting, like a highlight for you this season being an artist?
I think anytime someone connects with your work, or buys a skateboard online, or buys an artwork, or sends me an email to say, hey, can we collaborate? Like, I see that as a real win, because
that's huge.
It's so cool, you know, like that someone can give you their money and you give them some art. Like to me that hasn't lost its shine. And I think it's something that I want to keep reminding myself, and consistently, like, reminding myself that, hey, like, you're doing this for a living, it's pretty cool, you know, and like people, you know, buy your work and they put it on their wall at home and they look at it every day, or they, you know, buy a product you've made, or, you know, they get you on board with their business to help in some way. For me it's as simple as that. It's like, man, I think if someone is willing to give you their hard-earned money for something you've made, like, that's just so cool. So I think I try and keep it very simple. Like I try not to overcomplicate it, and I try not to get caught up in my own head too much. And I think, wow, you know, like, it's pretty cool to be able to do this for a living. So
exactly,
the simple things, man.
That's it, dude. Simplicity is key.
Yeah, a lot of the time it is, you know. And I think at the same time, we're trying to grow what we do. We're trying to grow our business, but at the same time, we're trying to just simplify. Which is an oxymoron in itself, and maybe that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's the consistently simplifying what you do, and coming back to base, coming back to square one, coming back to what you love about it, and why you're doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Coming back to
Yeah.
the like your why in that sense.
Totally, and I think it's, you can connect that with your walk with Jesus, like every day you pick up your cross. It's the same concept.
Yeah.
It's like every day you're back to square one, back to square one. And not in a way that is depressing, but
Hmm.
I think it's almost beautiful. Yeah, it's like, no, we're constantly reevaluating, coming back, and I
Yeah.
quite like that concept. Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's so encouraging. What would you say to someone now who wants to seek out an opportunity to get their artwork out there? What advice would you give to that person?
I would just say create, create, create. And I think if someone had said that to me, years and years and years ago, that it would have maybe felt annoying to hear that because it
Hmm.
sounds so obvious. But I think, you hear it all the time. If you want people to pay attention, like I think you have to just make something consistently and make
Hmm.
something that they can look at and say, oh, wow, like I haven't seen that little element before. Or um, the fact that they're just creating lots of work must mean that they love it, must mean they're
Yeah.
passionate, must mean they're into it. Like you can talk all you like about, oh, you know, I'm going to paint an exhibition. I'm going to paint all these artworks, but until
Yeah.
you do it, people are going to say, okay, cool. Well, I can't wait to see it.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I would just say create, create, create. And I think for us early on in the business, that's what I did. And I still do it now.
Hmm.
I literally still do it now. I'll come into the studio and just make as much as I can and kind of see what works. And then, okay, we're going to release that and we're going to put that out
Yeah.
there. That one's not really feeling very good. We're just going to leave that on the floor somewhere. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, I just say make as much as you can. And in that process, you often see what you like, what feels honest.
Hmm.
So I think in that time of creating, you you're not only producing a lot of work, but you're kind of finding your voice in that too.
Yeah.
I think that's what's really important. Um, yeah, yeah,
No, I like that a lot, and I think a lot of people, when they listen to this episode or when they watch this, they're going to be really encouraged, especially like what you just said, influenced and encouraged me, um, relating to just create and just to do it, and let
yeah,
your work speak for yourself. Someone's going to find it. Someone's going to stumble upon it and say, "Hey, I really like what you're doing. It's really authentic." So I think that's such a solid answer and something that people kind of need, especially during not even just trying to get their outwork out there, but I think even in life right now, with what we're doing in the midst of COVID and all these things, that people just
yeah,
need to find an outlet, and whatever that is, that they just do it at the best of their ability. And if they want to make it something where they want to make money off it or they want to do something different, that their work will speak for themselves.
yeah. I hope so. I think you're right. Like there's definitely been a real upturn with during COVID with people making things, which is super
Hmm.
cool. And I think people have spent more time at home and more time thinking, hey, yeah, what do I actually want to do?
Yeah.
What do I want to do with my craft? And yeah, you know what? Being an artist in this time, it's actually, I think it's the best time to be an artist
Hmm.
because people are on social media, people are watching, people are looking. Like it's super exciting, like
Yeah.
even 10 years ago, it was not like this, like it was a different hustle in a sense. But I think it's exciting now with, how much the world has opened up and
Yeah.
people have kind of come together. Yeah, as an artist, it's super, super exciting, I think.
Yeah. Hands down.
Yeah.
Now, what would you say, Nathan, overall, is the overall message of your work or the overall message of Blacklist Studios?
Yeah, I think, like I mentioned before, it's I guess what we keep coming back to is this idea of love. And
Hmm.
it's this idea of people buying a work or an artwork or a skateboard or a print or a framed piece and putting it on their wall at home
Hmm.
and having this constant reminder that the world is maybe bigger than they thought.
Yeah.
They're loved, like, And it's almost as simple as that for us. Like I keep coming back to this word love and what it means. And I think for some people, love means something different than what it means to me or what it means for us as Christians. And I kind of see our role as to change that a little bit and to almost inject some truth into people. I mean, yeah, like I said, like I love when we sell a piece of artwork and someone just puts it on their wall at home. Like, to me, that's so cool that they would invite us into their home and it would sit on their wall like for months, for years. And they might be eating their breakfast and they look over and it, you know, it has a positive message or you know, it's cool. some kind of positivity. Yeah, I think that's what we really love about it. And yeah, the fact that someone would, it's very personal, you know, like I paint in here and someone puts on their wall in their home, like that's pretty cool, you know, like and so yeah, I guess there's hundreds of things in people's homes which is kind of just keeps us going. Okay, cool. What can we create now that is going to like lift people up and inject a little bit of the truth in their home where maybe they don't even know it. They think they're buying something that looks cool, but it's actually all these layers. And I'm like, that's cool to me, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You might have got this question a lot, but I've always been intrigued by this, especially when it comes to artists that do a lot of things freehand. So let's say you're creating a design. I'm going to pick the skateboard design that I saw recently, and you need to make more than one of those. How do you try to make them all look very similar, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. So yeah, what we've been trying to do lately, which has been really fun for us, is we'll do one design and we have it on sale for a period of 48 hours. So you can purchase the artwork within 48 hours on the website. And then once that time frame has ended, once the 48 hours is finished, it's sold out. You can't get it anymore.
Wow.
And the number we've sold in that 48-hour period is how many I'll go and make.
Yeah.
So yeah, like sometimes it will be, we might sell 20. Sometimes we might sell 120.
Wow.
And so I'll then just make the same design by hand, that many times. And I think for us, it kind of our concept behind that was I'd love to be able to offer people something that's original. And you know, for a skateboard, like they can flip it around on the back and it's like they can see the paint drips. If I've had paint on my hands, they can see there's like fingerprints on it.
That's so cool.
It's like imperfect. But then you look at it from a distance and it probably just looks like a copy of all the other ones, right?
Yeah.
But then when you look close, it's like, you know, the letter T might be different on one of the other ones. So there's something like, I find that's something beautiful in that, where it's like, it's the same, it's part of the same design and the set, but they're all kind of different. But yeah, it's fun making them too, to be honest. Like I'll just sit down there, get in the zone, put some music on.
Of course.
I could just make like hundreds of them, you know. It's like this meditation kind of thing, creating them. But yeah, we embrace the differences between the artworks. It's kind of part of it, and I hope people like that too, you know. Like it's kind of cool because it's not a reproduction, it's not printing, it's so you're still making it, but it's the same one. I think there's something kind of beautiful in that.
And there really is, because the picture you just painted explaining the work behind what you do, right away I just thought of the fact on how, you know, God is the ultimate creator and he designed every single one of us. And like how you said, each skateboard will look similar, but as you get closer, you'll see the different details and points to it. And I see that how God created all of us. But at the moment you get to meet someone, you'll realize, hey, Nathan's a little bit different than Jerome. There's stuff in him that's different, but we still have the same designer, which is super cool.
Yeah, totally, man. Like I think, that's pretty poetic how you put it, but yeah, that's exactly the thing. I think the same with God, you know, like he he made us purposely with all those differences. And I think, unfortunately, sometimes we look at the things we don't like about ourselves and we think, I wish that was different, or but God's like, no, like those paint marks are there, my finger marks are there for a reason. Like, where you think I've spilt paint, that's not spilt paint. That's like I purpose that for you. And so, you know, we'll even have times where customers have bought a piece and they'll email in and say, hey, like mine's got some paint marks on it, or mine looks a little different, and we just remind them, hey, like, no, like it's meant to be like that. And 9 times out of 10, they'll come back and say, oh, okay, cool. I just wanted to know that it was meant to be like that. Which I think is quite funny, you know? So yeah, there's a lot of parallels. There's a lot of parallels with that and how we were created, right?
It's so intriguing. Like, I'm like, even just having this conversation, I'm just so intrigued by your work. And I have one last question before we wrap up. I just want to let you know, Nathan, that this conversation has really been a blessing to me. And I believe it will be to so many other people. And I just want you to know that the work you're doing, it speaks volume. Kind of like what we were talking about earlier, your work kind of speaks for itself, but it really does. I just want you to know that.
Hey, thanks so much. Yeah, you know, I think it's cool to be able to chat with you over the other side of the world, and the fact that the work is carried that way is cool. I really appreciate that. It's cool. Thank you.
Yeah, it's amazing. Last question, Nathan, and you can answer it however you want to. But the question is this: what's next for you? Maybe it's a project, maybe it's a collaboration. What's next?
Yeah, like I said at the beginning, we like to kind of have our hands in a few different things. So at the moment, I'm painting for an exhibition, which will be up in Byron Bay, which is about 10 hours away. A small coastal town in New South Wales. So yeah, I'm painting a collection of maybe 12 bigger artworks, kind of like the one behind me, like this kind of size, that I'll have an exhibition of. So that's one thing I'm working towards, where we're currently rebuilding our website. We're doing a bunch of new products for that.
That's awesome.
You know what? And I think, like, I come here every day and I'll just pick up something and kind of think, okay, what are we going to do this week? What are we going to release? What are we going to make? So what's coming up for us is hopefully just more of that. We're quite spontaneous. We're not super planned. We have rough scheduling happening, but we're not super planned where it kills our creativity. So yeah, you know what? If we can just do more of that, then I'll be very, very happy.
Yeah, that's incredible. Well, dude, once again, I appreciate you so much in this conversation, and I just love the work that you're doing. I'm definitely gonna have to find my way to purchase a couple of your pieces and hang in my office and in my house. But
totally. Let's send you something over. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, dude, I'll definitely reach out to you after this.
Great.
But I want to thank you for your time, and I want you to be blessed. Know that you got someone out here in Canada praying for you, and I do mean that. And I also know that this conversation is going to be an extreme blessing to so many people. And so, Nathan, enjoy the rest of your day. For me, it's evening, and
Awesome.
I'm just excited to see what you come up with next.
Hey, thanks so much, Jerome. I really appreciate the chat, and yeah, man, God bless you, man. It's awesome.
You too. All right, take care and have a great day.
Thanks, man.
All right, bye.